So again, my name is Shauna Ekadal, and I am a holistic nutritionist. I also have certifications in life coaching. I have a Bachelor of Science in Interpersonal Communication. I have a degree in digestive health. So I have a lot of different certifications. And out of my work, I kind of use a lot of those different tools all together. And so, I kind of think the word nutrition is boring. I'm about to discover a new word. So if any of you guys come up with one that's better, make sure you tell me, because, a lot of people say, I don't want to sit through a nutrition talk or talk about nutrition. I already know about nutrition. In fact, most of the clients that I work one-on-one with, I have a private practice in San Juan Capistrano, they come in and they say, I eat healthy. Like, why can't I lose weight? Or I eat healthy, like why do I have illness? Or, so there's so many different schools of thought on what is healthy and what isn't healthy. I mean, you can Google stuff and you'll find, contradicting information all the time. So I'm going to kind of break through some of the myths about health, and we're going to dive even a little deeper. Since this is a stress management class, we're going to talk about how stress affects the body, how nutrition can help you, and I'm going to give you guys like 3 simple shifts you can make. I like to call them, like no huge changes, but simple shifts that you can make in your life to kind of manage stress and get a little healthier. We live in a time right now on the planet where disease is at an all-time high. People are more unhealthy, maybe you've seen on the news, more unhealthy than ever. We've got very high rate of diabetes, we've got very high rates of cancer. In fact, back in 1900, only 1 in 8,000 people got cancer. What do you think the stat is today? Does anyone want to take a guess? It's a good guess. Anybody else?
2 and 4.
Okay. Another one? One more. Who else has a guess? 1 out of 4? It's 1 out of 2. So look around this room. This means that half the people, theoretically, sitting in this room will have cancer at some point in their lifetime, right? So ever since the Industrial Revolution and all the pollution that we're pumping into the environment and pollution in our food source and our water source, and a lot of this is contributing to the body breaking down in certain ways, which is really what disease is minor breakdowns in the body, right? If we picture we have a big factory, right, and we've got all these big machines running. If those machines get all gunked up and dirty, eventually those machines aren't going to function anymore. They're going to break down. Maybe one gear breaks down or something else breaks down. The whole machine might not break down, but you're going to have little pieces that do. So that is kind of a good point of reference for health, is that how can we put good stuff in our body so that we don't have those little breakdowns as we start to get older. I mean, you guys are lucky. You're young, and at that age, I mean, when I was in college, which was so long ago, I didn't think much about what I put in my body because my body just snapped back. It was like no problem. As you get older, it becomes a different story. And so I love talking to you guys because if you even start incorporating any of what I'm talking about, your health can continue to get better as you age. So for instance, I will be 42 years old this year, and I look better than I did 10 years ago. And that's because I've healed my body through healthy foods and through a lot of different lifestyle changes. So there is hope. I mean, I know a lot of people that I talk to have a lot of disease with their parents and grandparents and older family members. And the good news is that with some of these tools, that doesn't have to be your destiny, is really what I want to pass along to you guys today. So let's start off with this. Do you guys ever feel like this? I know when I was in college, I felt like this sometimes, although our computers look nothing like this. They were like those old Mac ones. We didn't have any. Literally, we had a computing commons in my college that you had to walk across to use a computer because you didn't have an internet connection in your room. That's just how old I am. But I felt like this in life a lot of times. Does anybody else ever feel like this? Like so much going on in your world, you just want to throw your head down? Anybody? Raise your hand. Yes? Okay, cool. You're human. That's awesome. Yeah, so we feel like that sometimes. And how to not feel like this all the time has everything to do with having tools. Having tools to go to when life gets like this, right? Because we can either have this end up you're laying on the floor, it can get worse from here, or it can get better from here. So we don't have to go all the way down that downward spiral if we have tools to make simple shifts. And sometimes when I was in college, life felt a little like this. Like just a lot of information coming at me. Like I'm trying to drink water and I'm like, like how do I take this all in, right? And again, it has everything to do, when we start to have a stress response and feel stressed, our brain shuts down. You know, we stop processing information in the same way. So learning how to manage our stress is so critically important to being able to take in all the information that's coming at you. And trust me, a lot's coming at you now, and it will continue to come at you. We live in a time where information is very quick, right? Like years ago before cell phones, if you didn't call someone back for a day or 2 days, that was normal. Now it's like when you have a job, people expect to hear from you in 10 minutes or 30 minutes. And if you haven't gotten back to them in 2 hours, you're ignoring them. That's how they feel, right? Because they know you've got a phone, you've got a computer right there. Like, why aren't you getting back to them? So it becomes even more critically important in this day and age to be able to handle our stress. Okay, so let's talk about what's super stressful. So is school stressful for any of you? Let's see a raise of hands. School? Yes. School is stressful. How about relationships, like boyfriends, girlfriends, moms, dads? Yeah, brothers, sisters, friends. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. How about money? Is money stressful? Yeah, money. Come on, raise those hands. You know it is. You know it. Yeah, money can be very stressful. And trust me, the older you get, it can get even more stressful. So tools for that are great. How about work? Does anybody work outside of school? Yeah. Well, congratulations to you guys.
I used to work at Ralph's.
Yeah. Working and going to school, it's stressful. You have homework, you have to have time at school, you have time at work. It's a lot. So for you guys that are working and going to school, I mean, kudos to you, because that's a lot of stuff. How about your health? Does anybody feel stressed about their health? Maybe they're having a little bit of health issues or stuff going on? Yeah. What about friends? Any friends stress you out? Yeah? Yeah. True, right? And just life in general. Who feels stressed by life? Like they just want to maybe take a few days off, take a few weeks off, disappear somewhere. Okay. Yeah, me too. I want to go. Who wants to go to Hawaii? I do. Let's go right now. Bye. We should. Oh, I have a 3-year-old son. He would love that. Yeah, so I think that everybody, pretty much the majority of people, raise their hand for almost all of these. Right? So stress doesn't just happen on one level. We're looking at all these different areas of our life, and stress becomes cumulative, right? So when we're having multiple stresses at school, multiple in relationships and money and work, it's just like, you know, you feel like that first picture, head down on the table, right? So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me, and then we're going to go into the 3 simple shifts that you can make. And I'm going to talk to you also a little bit about the why. And this is kind of the foundation of the work that I do. So, you know, I told you a little bit about the schooling that I have, but I like to tell my story a little bit so people get a sense of who I am. And sometimes we look at people in life and we think they've got certain things handled, and you don't know what the true story is behind them. You know, you might walk by somebody on campus and think, wow, their life is better than mine. But really, maybe it's not. You know, maybe they're going through different struggles than you're going through, but their struggles are big too. And so when I was 10 years old, I grew up as an only child. My parents went through a really terrible divorce, like knockdown, drag out, terrible, a couple years it went on. It was very stressful for me. The life as I knew it, like, completely shifted at that time. We moved out of our house. You know, I didn't have my father living with us anymore. And at that moment of time, I turned to food because of the stress. I didn't know how to show my emotions. I was too young to process. I was kind of too old because I knew what was going on, but too young to process everything that I was going through. And so I ate. And between 5th and 6th grade, I gained 20 pounds. And as you can see, I'm a very short girl. So it made a really big difference in how I looked and how I related to myself. And I didn't know that I was turning to food for emotional reasons, but I just knew that I just wanted to eat a lot, and I wanted to eat all the time, and I wanted to tune my life out. I wanted to do what a little girl would do, putting her head down in her computer, but instead that was me putting my head in the TV and eating lots of cookies. I learned to bake cookies, and I would bake them every day, and I knew the recipe by heart. And so I did that for a while, and even as I grew up, I was a dancer, and so the weight ended up coming off a little bit, but that struggle stayed with me. You know, I never never felt like I wasn't the heavier girl. So even though I wasn't hundreds of pounds overweight, I still struggled with what I looked like on the outside. And I went through periods of eating too much, then periods of not eating. I, went through diet pills. I went through, you name it, I kind of did it, all trying to manage my weight through my teen years and through my 20s. And those times are times where that can be really important to people. And I always felt like I just couldn't get it right. I just couldn't get where I wanted to be. And I would cry, at night. I would go home and I'd just be like, this is so devastating to me. Like, I would put clothes on and they'd be tight and they wouldn't fit, or I couldn't button them. And I would just hate myself, I'd just be like, I'm such a loser. Like, why can't I get this right? And the more I beat myself up, the worse it got. And it wasn't until my early 30s, I ended up graduating from high school. I graduated from college. I was a smart girl. I did well in school, but none of that mattered to me. I had this inability to look at what was going right. I was only looking at what was going wrong. And I got a job and I worked really hard and I started making good money, but still that struggle, I couldn't see the good in it. And in my early 30s, I started having a small string of health issues. And I would go to the doctor and they would say, write me a prescription and say, here, take this. And they'd be like, you're so young to have this. Like, I started getting skin cancer on my face. I have multiple scars on my face, which maybe you can't see from where you're sitting. And I would be sitting in the waiting room, and everybody in the waiting room would be like 60 or 70 years old, and then there'd be me. And I'm in my young 30s. And the doctor would say, I don't know. I don't know why this is happening, but we'll just keep cutting your face open. And I'm like, but I want to know why. Like, I want to know why am I so young, and why is this happening? And so because no doctor could tell me that, I went on my own journey and I started researching and I started educating myself. And I said, if my body is breaking down, there's got to be a reason. And luckily, I love research, which is why I got a Bachelor of Science. So I just went at it. And what I started to uncover led me down roads that I didn't think it would. So it led me down to things like self-acceptance and self-love, emotional eating, psychological issues tied to food, all these underlying things. So it wasn't just about the food. I had a lot of stored pain, a lot of stored sadness and emotion that I couldn't get out, that caused me to eat food. And I started seeing how all these pieces of the puzzle kind of played into each other and fed into each other. And I started giving my body what it needed. I started learning what it needs, for one, because we don't really learn that, and then giving it what it needs. And then I started loving my body. I said, if I want it to be something else, I don't think hating it is going to get it there. So I'm going to start loving myself for where I'm at and see if that makes a difference, because all the decades of hating it wasn't working. So that is the journey that led me here. And eventually, after healing my own body, people started showing up in my life and saying, hey, like, what about me? Help me with this. And it was friends at first and my family, and then it became something that I realized was my calling. And I realized, like, this is what I'm here on this planet to do. I'm here to, my struggle was for something, right? Whatever you're struggling with, realize that there might be a seed of gift in that. Because sometimes we struggle so that someday we get to help others with that same struggle. If we can figure out how to heal that in us, we can figure out how to help others with that as well. I believe we all are born with certain gifts. And thank God we don't all do the same thing good. Like, if we were all great basketball players, there'd be no football teams, there'd be no baseball teams, right? We all have these different gifts. And so as I started digging, I got into the why. And I think right now, if you look at the diet industry or the health industry, there's a lot of eat this, don't eat that, give you a meal plan, you need to measure out this amount of chicken per day, and you need to eat that amount of turkey at that specific time. And I just felt like, well, I know for myself, if someone had me on that stringent of a plan, I would just rebel against it. And I think that's human nature. If I walked around your house with you and was like, don't touch that, eat that, don't touch that, no, don't do that, you guys would be like, oh my God, stop, right? Nobody likes that. I mean, some people feel like their parents do that to them, and they're like, ah. So I started learning that if I could tell people the why behind it, if I could educate people on why to eat certain foods, like what it really does to every cell in your body, what it's going to provide you for years in advance of this day, that then they would start to make decisions from a place of understanding why. we all want to know why. I mean, as little kids, like usually your mom or dad will tell you to do something, and you're like, why? Why, mommy? Why, daddy? Because we do. We want to know the why so that we can understand why we're making the decisions. So the foundation of my work has to do with going to those deeper levels and discovering the why behind things. And so simple shift number 1 is nutrition. So again, we need a new word for it that it has all the good juju that nutrition really is. And I'd like to reframe nutrition for you. Nutrition doesn't just make you thin or change your body. It changes your mind, right? When we give our minds what they need, we get quicker, smarter, more expansive in our thinking. Think about, there are tons of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, right? And in this day and age, most people are deficient in a lot of them. So imagine that there's all these building blocks that your body needs to function. Remember the factory, if the factory is going to run properly, and you're not giving it the fuel it needs. Like how eventually over time, you're just not going to process things the same way. Your body's not going to respond the same way. So a lot of my clients say, wow, I feel like I got smarter once I started giving my body what it needs. Increased emotional well-being. So again, we don't think about this, but some people, when I was healing, before I healed my body, I struggled with a low-grade depression. So I would fall into depression from time to time. And I just thought, that's who I am. I'm just a depressed person from time to time. And it wasn't until I started giving my body what it needs that I realized that wasn't who I was. I no longer get depressed, right? So we think these things are who we are, but really we just might not be getting what our body needs. You also get increased physical health, so more strength, more stamina, and a better immune system. So, as far as, I don't know if anybody here gets colds or flus easily, some people are like, don't be around me if I'm sick, I'm going to get what you have. That's a sign of a weak immune system. So by giving our body all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients, we build our immune system. So nutrition is not just about food at all. So start thinking about it as a mind, body, spirit, emotional, it's all of it. And we want to feed our body what it needs. Okay, so let's keep it simple here. So nutrition's making sure your body gets everything it needs to do all of the jobs it needs to do. We have 100 to 200 trillion cells in our body. That's a lot, right? Each one performs millions of chemical reactions all the time without us ever even thinking about it. It's kind of a miracle. I'm in awe of the human body. To perform all those reactions, we need certain vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. And I like to use the story about sand in the gas tank. And I say sometimes to my clients, I'm like, what kind of car do you have? And some of them have sports cars. I said, what if I borrowed your car and I ran out of gas and I just put sand in the gas tank? Like, how would you feel about that? And they're like, especially male clients, they're like, no, I would kill you. I'm like, why? And they're like, because it would break my car. I said, exactly. That's what we're doing. When we put foods that are unhealthy, that our body doesn't even recognize, foods that have chemicals in them, and our body's not even meant to break that down. So it's literally like putting sand in your gas tank. And then we as human beings, we wonder wait, what's happening to my body when you've been putting all this sand in your gas tank? So our bodies are meant to run on what's grown on the earth, right? Vegetables, fruits, meats. If you go to a grocery store, you want to shop the perimeter of that grocery store. That's where all the good foods are found. Stay out of the aisles. That's where all the chips and crackers and things are. Those are the things that'll hurt your body. A healthy outside starts from the inside. So again, I wanted to change the outside of my body. I was so focused on changing the outside. But what I didn't realize was the way that I was going to really change the outside was by changing the inside. So by feeding my cells what they need, you get everything you want on the outside. You get great skin, you get great hair, great nails, you get, balanced weight. All of that seems to just handle itself when you start giving your body and your cells what they need on the inside. So all of my education in this comes down to this. Is anybody great at math in here? Anybody a good mathematician? Yeah? Cool. So I've broken it down to this equation. I'm talking years of school, and we're coming down to this. You got to get the good stuff in and the bad stuff out to have healthy, happy cells. So the good stuff in is nutrition, exactly what I'm talking about, the foods that your body needs to run properly. Getting the bad stuff out are toxins. All those chemicals that we encounter in our food source, in our air, in our environment, all that stuff is just gunking up your machine. I'll have a time for questions after. If you do both of those things effectively, you have healthy, happy cells. You have what you want on the exterior of your body. Here's signs of what I call sad cells. So when we're not treating our cells right, we have a lot of these things show up. So excess weight gain, dull or dry hair, brittle nails, acne, rough skin texture, feeling tired at 3 p.m., bad breath, cellulite, allergies, depression, anxiety, inflammation. You can read the whole list. There's a lot of them. These are just signposts that your body's giving you that it's not getting what it needs. These are not, in our society, a lot of times these things are just considered normal. So I talked to a group of 60-year-old men and I said, do you know anybody with high blood pressure? And they started laughing hysterically at me. They go, ha! Like, because everybody has it at that age. You know, they're like, everybody raised their hand and they're like, yeah, I do. And it's considered normal. People say, oh, when I'm 60, I have to have high blood pressure. I have to have like high cholesterol. These are just signs, again, that our cells aren't getting what they need or our cells are toxic. How to make those sad cells happy cells. Give it the food it needs. Organic and non-GMO is so important. I won't go into all the details of why. I'm just going to tell you it is. So healthy proteins, chicken, turkey, even red meat is fine to eat if it's, like baked or broiled, not in some, crazy sauce. Organic, non-GMO vegetables, and healthy fats. Does anybody know what a healthy fat is when I say healthy fats? Give me examples. Avocado is awesome. Avocado is actually one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Like, so many vitamins, so many minerals. If you ate an avocado every day, your body would love you. What else are healthy fats? Olive oil? Yep. Anything else? Almonds, nuts are great healthy fats, walnuts, all of that. Anything else? Coconut oil, that's another really healthy fat for the body. Your cells, each one of them, picture a circle like this. It has an outer cell membrane, and that cell membrane is built from healthy fats and proteins. And so if you want your cells to work right, you need protein and healthy fats. In our society, what do you think we eat more of than healthy protein and healthy fats? Sugar and carbohydrates, right? We eat breads and pastas and junk food and candy, and that actually hinders us from having those healthy cells. Pasta is good for you. So it's really about, and I'll talk about balance a little bit later, it's not about taking all these foods out of your diet. Although, a Snickers bar is never going to give you great nutrition. Like, you might want to enjoy it from time to time. You could take that out of your diet and live the rest of your life very healthy. So there are some foods that just aren't good. But things like pasta are great. It's just a matter of looking at your whole day. Are you eating all carbohydrates all day long? Are you starting your morning with a muffin or a bagel, and then you move on to, pasta, and then for dinner, are you having, a ton of bread? Then that's going to be a lot of carbohydrates for the day. So it's just about balancing out the protein and the vegetables and the healthy fats with that. Let's talk about stress and metabolism. This is really interesting. So digestive stress is 25% what you eat and 75% of who you're being while you're eating. So we live in a time that we're moving at warp speed. We're eating on the go. We're multitasking during a meal. We're talking and eating at the same time. Who's done all of these things? Anybody? Just 3 people? Really? Hello. You're not human. No, so it is so good for your body to actually take 10 minutes and eat a meal and do nothing else. Sit at a table somewhere, take a deep breath, calm down, let go of the stress for a minute, and eat your food. Part of what can cause weight gain and things like that is a lot of this eating on the go. When you eat under stress, you actually destroy your metabolism. So we want our metabolisms to work and be fast, not to be slow. So the slower you eat, the more you metabolize. The more relaxed you are throughout your day, the more energy you will have. Because when you're stressed out, you're burning energy, right? You're like, "Ugh," burning all this extra energy off. So if we can take it down a notch, you can actually have energy throughout your day. It's called burning the candle at both ends. Has anybody here ever eaten a meal and not felt satisfied? Like you eat a meal and you're like, oh, I just wish I had something else. Just want a little like something afterwards, right? Okay, people that aren't raising their hands, I mean, hello. Have you ever eaten a meal and not felt it? Hello? Hello? Anyone? Yes? All right. So this is a sign that your stress response is on, that your body's in stress mode. Your salivary enzymes are reduced. Your breakdown of protein, carbohydrates, and fats is impaired. Your blood flow to your small intestines decreases, and you decrease the assimilation of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, meaning your body's not even taking in what's in your food. It's not even being able to utilize it. You have a central nervous system. The parasympathetic is called rest and digest. This is when you're calm, not stressed out, and this is when your body can actually digest food. Sympathetic is fight or flight mode. Have you heard of fight or flight? Yes, right. So this is when your digestion goes down. And this makes a whole heck of a lot of sense because fight or flight, like let's say we were living on the prairie before we had houses and all those things. If a lion was chasing you, your body is not going to give a lot of value to digesting food. Your body is going to rush that blood to your arms and legs and brain so you can get the heck out of there so you don't get eaten. Except for, and it's supposed to be, sympathetic fight or flight is supposed to be something we use every once in a while, not something that we live on. And in this day and age, we're living on it, and it's really destroying our bodies. This is what parasympathetic eating looks like. You're out in the field, life is mellow, you're eating fruits and vegetables, all is well with digestion. This is what sympathetic eating looks like. You have a lion on your back, you're about ready to get eaten yourself, and you're hurrying, and you're stressing out your body. Are you guys familiar with cortisol? I'm sure you've talked about that in stress management class. So it's meant to be temporary again, and people have chronically high cortisol levels, which raises your blood pressure, interferes with your thyroid hormone, causes hunger, food cravings, lowers melatonin. Basically, the moral is it messes up your whole system in your body when you're pumping cortisol all the time. So I'm going to give you guys some tools to kind of, and we're going to do this together. Everyone close your eyes. And this is a breathing technique. Eyes closed. I'll tell you how to do it. You don't need to watch anything. This is a breathing technique that you can use at any time, even if you're with other people and they don't know it. You can use this, and it tricks your central nervous system into relaxing. So it's called 5-5-7, and what we're going to do right now is we are going to breathe in. I'll tell you first before we do it, for the count of 5. I'm going to count to 5. And then you're going to hold that breath in for 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to exhale for 7. So you're going to do a really long exhale, okay? And we're just going to do this twice. Okay, so everybody get ready. Start breathing in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And once again, breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feel a little calmer? Yeah? You want to do this 10 times. If you feel like something stressful is going on in your life, something stressful has happened, you can use this technique, and there's no getting it right or wrong. It's literally going to shut down that stress response in your body. So if you feel that coming up, you kind of feel like when you're getting stressed, this is a great tool to use. And again, you can be driving in a car and do this. Simple shift number 2, this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, is mindset. Has anybody heard about mindset? Yeah, heard about it a little bit? Mindset is everything, 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 everything. When your mindset is right, anything and everything is possible in your life. Sometimes we can get in our own way. Are you familiar with maybe one time in your life you've gotten in your own way? Does that ring a bell? You've you've stopped yourself because you have certain beliefs, like that something's not possible, or you don't think you can have something, and so you don't even try. There's just so many ways that we can stop ourselves in life, and getting your mindset right is the key to manifesting a lot. So here's some signs that mindset may be off. If you feel like you never have enough money, feeling underdeserving of love, always trying but never succeeding, struggling with jealousy, blaming others, feeling like a victim, waiting for someone else to solve your issues, not taking great care of yourself, maybe you eat healthy for a few days and then you sabotage it, not feeling worthy. These are core fundamental things that human beings really struggle with. And I want you to know the most important thing is that they're not true. They're not true. Every one of you are lovable. Every one of you are brilliant. It's your birthright. You know, you are a light. You are a human who has gifts to share. And if you feel like you relate to any of these, they're not true. They're just a mindset that you have that was created at some point in your life and in your childhood, and you attached to it and you said, this is true about me, but it's not. So you can change mindsets. Just because you might believe right now you're not worthy of something doesn't mean you can't think differently down the line. So none of it's permanent. You will only be, do, or have what you believe is possible. So if you don't think you can ever live in a really nice house, you won't. If you believe that's possible for you, you can have that. You will find a way to get there. You know, we run these limiting beliefs. I have them, you have them, everybody has them on some level. And really part of the journey of life is realizing what these beliefs are and realizing that they're not true and that you can grow beyond them, right? And a lot of these beliefs run blind. So sometimes you might not even realize you have a limiting belief. You might not even say, like you don't walk around thinking, well, I don't feel worthy. But you might realize, like, you know, sometimes I don't really talk to certain people because I don't feel like they would like me. Like I don't feel like I'm in their group, or I don't feel like I'm cool like them, or I don't feel whatever about them, right? That they're different than you are. So you might not even realize some of the beliefs you have running, but if you start to, after this conversation, if you start to look at, you know, where do I feel in my life that I'm not being everything I can be? Where do I feel like there's more for me in my life? You can start taking a look at some of these beliefs. And if you can see them, then you can live beyond them. If you can identify them, then there's a way to go beyond. So let's talk about mindset and stress. So sometimes our minds keep us in a stressful circumstance. Sometimes we're addicted to our struggle. You know, we are so used to, we hold on to struggle like a teddy bear. We're so used to struggling in a certain way, like, gosh, I never have money, and it just becomes addictive to, like, talk to your friend on the phone for an hour about how you never have money. And it's like, you can't create that in your life if you're so busy being addicted to struggling about it. And so I'm going to show you guys something right now. If you guys would all stand up, we're going to do something cool. Put your legs like a little, like shoulder width apart, and you're going to kind of bend your knees a little bit. Just kind of get loose, shake your arms out, shake it out, shake it out. And I want you guys to close your eyes, and you're going to put your hand up in front of you like this, your right hand, and make a point, like a finger like this. Everybody, close your eyes. Okay. And then I'm going to have you go ahead and turn to your right and just let your finger follow around. Just turning, turning, turning as far as you can go. Don't move your body, don't move your feet. You're just moving the top of your body. Okay, and then I want you to think about in your mind where that point is. And then I want you to turn back around front. Open your eyes and shake it off, shake it off. We're going to do one more time. So you're going to close your eyes again. You're going to put your finger out in front of you. And before we do any turning, close your eyes. I want you to visualize in your mind what you just did. How you turned, and how your finger went around, and maybe it pointed somewhere near the back. And then I want you to visualize Gumby, like you're a Gumby doll, and you just keep twisting. So like you're just visualizing in your mind right now, you're not moving, that you've twisted beyond your back. So your finger went beyond pointing at the back of the room. It's gone to like all the way to 9 o'clock, all the way back to the front. Like your whole body is twisted, right? Like a towel, like when you wring out a towel. And then I want you to go around again and twist a second time around, all in your mind, right? And then twist a third time. Picture that hand going all the way around again and back to the front. Okay, now I want you to put your hand out in front of you and point forward and turn as far as you can, all the way to the back, all the way to the back, as far as you can, as far as you can go, as far as you can go, as far as you can go. Okay, open your eyes. Who went further the second time? How did that happen? Right? The power of the mind. All I did was have you visualize something, and your body did something completely different than it did the first time. So this is just an example of how you guys can go ahead and sit down, of how mindset works, right? I had you visualize something far beyond what the human body can actually do. And what you did is you went further than you did the first time within seconds. You're the same people. This isn't even a different day. So you can, at any point, visualize something in your head and start to manifest that in your life. The most important thing that we have in life is choice. And this may seem like not an important thing to have, but it really is, because events are going to happen in your life. You know, things. Life happens. People do things. People get in car wrecks. People have stuff happen. Like they say, I won't say the bad word, but SH, happens. There's always choice. We can relate to anything in our life the way we want to. So you could get in a car accident, and you don't have to be mad about that. You don't. You could actually be like, oh, I got in a car accident. So what? Big deal. You have the choice to relate to any event that happens in any way you want. There's always choice in how we perceive an event. So someone could break up with you, and you could be like, you know what? That just wasn't the right person for me anyways. Or someone could break up with you, and you could go home and cry for a week and decide that that was the person you were going to marry. You're sure of it. Life's never going to be the same. This is terrible. So we can react however we want to react. Like someone could come up and kick you, and most men would turn around and like punch that person. But they don't have to. Some guy could come up and kick you, and you could just be like, whatever, I'm going to deal with you, and walk away. So we always have choice. You know, Shakespeare said there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's all how we think about it that we either make it good or bad. And most people don't realize they have the choice, and so they just think automatically, if I got in a car accident, it has to be bad. It doesn't. So look around your life and see where you have the choice to react differently or be differently. I mean, you might have friends or family, and you don't like the way they react. Maybe you've got a dad that yells a lot, and you're like, that's a bummer. Well, you don't have to be that person too if you don't want to. You know what I mean? You don't have to adopt that. We always have choice. You know, people grow up in all kinds of different circumstances. I mean, you hear about some sports stars. They grow up in terrible circumstances, and they end up a huge sports star. Why? Why did that happen for them? They believed it. They said, I can do this. I'm talented at this. And other people said, hey, I think you are talented at this. And every time someone fed that back to them, they were like, yeah, I can do this. And every day they practiced because they believed they could do it. And that's how they got somewhere. So it really starts with belief. And at any point, we can start believing great things about ourselves. Who here has tried meditation before? Have you heard of meditation? Who's tried it? Yeah? This used to be my visualization on meditation, like sitting on this awesome beach in this like typical meditation position. And to be really honest with you, I was like thumbs down on meditation. I could care less for so many years of my life. People brought it up to me. They're like, you should meditate. I'm like, no, I'm too busy. I don't need another thing to do. So this is how I always pictured it. And then this is more how like life would be of me trying to meditate. So I would like sit down and I'd just be thinking about work and I'd be thinking about deadlines and life and family, and I couldn't like get my mind to stop going. You know, I would just sit there and be like, oh, this is so boring because all I'm doing is thinking about all these things. How do people just have no thoughts? Or how do people stop their brain from chattering? And I think it's important to realize that meditation can look like this. This can be a form of meditation. Taking a nice walk in nature. How many times do people spend a lot of time in nature? Are you guys in nature a lot? Cool. It's a really good, healthy thing. You know, we are meant to live in the earth. We live in a lot of concrete and wood buildings these days, but we were really created at the beginning of time to be in the dirt and to be amongst the trees. So this can be a form of meditation for sure. This can be a form of meditation. Some people do meditation by just watching a candle, so focusing their thoughts on a candle for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Just having that one focal point and just allowing yourself to just let all the thoughts fly away and just focus on something simple. The simple shift, number 3, is meditation. So we've done nutrition, we've done mindset, and number 3 is meditation. And meditation used to be kind of like a woo-woo subject, like, oh, people that are really into yoga do meditation. But obviously it's become a lot bigger and more prevalent as our society gets more stressful. And so studies show that meditation can improve our psychological well-being and our critical thinking. So if you want to be smarter and you want to feel better, meditation's a great tool. Meditation can also make structural changes in the brain. So it actually rewires your brain differently. Meditation can reduce blood pressure and it can bolster the immune system. So meditation and balance. You know, my work is centered on the concept of balance, and I said that we would talk a little bit about balance. It's simple to understand balance, not always easy to embody balance in our life. So meditation has the power to return you to what's called balance. So balance is fluid, balance is acceptance, balance has a sense of peace to it. So this is something that I teach all of my one-on-one clients, and I want to bring to you guys. Anybody here feel like they're a perfectionist? Yeah, me too. I call myself a recovering perfectionist. And I say to myself, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. The artist that tries to get his piece of art perfect, nobody ever gets to see it. It stays on the easel. The artist that does what they can do and releases it out into life, that piece of work gets seen and enjoyed by people. So if you're a perfectionist, you might say to yourself, done is better than perfect. Anybody feel like they resist things, like they resist new things, or they resist change, or they resist other people in their life? Anybody struggle with resistance? Yeah, I think we all do on some level. So the thing to know about perfection is these are absolute ideals. When you are a perfectionist, you're a harsh critic of yourself. You're defensive towards criticism, so if somebody gives you any type of constructive criticism, it's usually hard to take. It's kind of an all or nothing approach. If I can't get it exactly right, I'm not doing it. And you can see where not a lot gets done, or you spend a lot of time doing things because you're just trying to get it perfect. It's an act of doing, and it's rigid. It's very, I need to do it like this now. Now, resistance is somebody that's very firm in their stance, right? They like what they like, they don't like what they don't like, and they really don't want to hear about it from anybody else. Change is hard for that personality. Openness is difficult, just being open to new ideas and people. They like to push against other people's points. So if someone's like, hey, I like black, they're like, nope, I like white. White's better. Sorry, you don't know what you're talking about. So maybe you have family members or friends like this too. It's an act of not doing. So it's kind of like, I picture somebody digging their heels into the sand. Like, I am not going to do this. And again, it's rigid, just like perfection. But in the center here, we have balance. And this is kind of a state of acceptance. Just accepting that life is a flow, accepting that things come in and things go. It's an openness to receiving, receiving people's advice, receiving goodness into your life. It's peaceful. It honors who you are. You know, it's not a rigid trying to be perfect or resisting things. It's a state of being fluid, basically. And I talk to people a lot about mind, body, spirit. and how all of these are connected. So like we said, when I talk about nutrition, it affects your brain too. It affects your emotions. I mean, you can't do something to your body and not have it affect the other parts of who you are. So I talk about nutrition, I talk about mindset, I talk about meditation as simple shifts and tools to have you have the life that you really want, right? Nobody like grows up and says, I want to have a sucky life. Like, I don't know, I mean, does anybody? Never met anybody that's like, I really just want to, in this lifetime, I'm just going to have a terrible life. That sounds like a great idea. We want to have great lives. We want to, do great things. I mean, every one of you has a dream. I know you do, whether you share it with people or not. You've got gifts, you've got dreams. So these are simple tools to live healthy, in your mind, body, and spirit. Get out some of these negative mindsets, find some balance with meditation. Eat some good food. Get those toxins out of your system. And I want to leave you, we're going to wrap up here shortly, but I want to leave you with this because a couple things. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. We've got a soul, and we're in this body, and we're here on this planet, and without our bodies, we don't have anything. A lot of people want to spend their money on new clothes or, a new handbag or a car, and all these things are awesome. But truly, if you don't have your health and you don't have your body, you're not going to be able to drive that car. You're not going to be able to wear those clothes. I mean, we don't tend to make health a priority until we become sick. If you've ever known somebody that has a major illness like cancer, all of a sudden they get very keyed in to the food they need to be eating and how they need to be taking care of their body because they're fighting for their life. But by doing some of these simple shifts now at your guys' age and starting to incorporate some of this into your life, you can have really healthy lives. I mean, back in 1900, what do you think the life expectancy was of women, let's just say? Back in 1900, guess.
50.
Good guess is 40. What is it? 19. No, what did you say? 30s. The life expectancy was 48 years old, right? So I'd be like an old lady. I'm ready to die soon, right? What do you think the life expectancy is now for women?
60 to 70.
60, 70, what'd someone say? 80? Yeah, 82 years old. 82 years old. So we've almost doubled our life expectancy in little over, 100 or so years. So it's really about quality, right? We have a lot of Western medicine that will keep us alive for a long time, but what's the quality of life going to be? You know what I mean? If I'm going to be alive now from 48 to 82, what's the quality of life going to be? That's a long time. That's like half my life, right? I've been on the planet almost 42 years. If I'm going to be on the planet another 42, I want to be enjoying myself. I want to be having fun. I want to be one of those people you see every once in a while on a news show that's 80 years old and she's doing yoga and she's getting another master's degree and just living life. She's got a boyfriend that's 20 years younger and her husband died years ago and she's just I'm cool, I'm having fun, I'm making the most of this human experience. That, I want to be that person. I mean, I hope my husband lives forever, but yeah, it's that's what life's about. Nobody wants to get sick when they're 50. You know what I mean? It's life is fun. Life is to be enjoyed and savored. Bringing the joy and the love in and the fun into your life, that's what it's about. I mean, if you think about it, we're here for a really short time. You might not feel it yet, but trust me, when you get to be my age, you'll realize it goes by really fast. And so let's have fun with it, Let's make it something joyful. Every day when you get up, you can wake up and say, you know what, I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful that I have my health. I'm grateful that I get to go to school. Not I have to go to school again. I have to sit through stress management class. No, right? You get to sit through stress management class. When you start relating to the world in the positive, your life will change. Trust me, I know. I used to complain about everything. I don't anymore. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful I have a beautiful family. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. When it rains at night, I'm thankful I'm not out on the street in the rain. I got a heater. That's awesome. So even when days are really bad and really crappy, what do you have? What are you lucky that you have? Family, right. What do you guys feel lucky for?
Family, shelter, food,
Totally.
water, cable bill, and video games.
Right. Your cell phone. I mean, you get to talk to your friends all the time. Back when I grew up, there were busy signals and stuff, and like I couldn't find my friends sometimes in college, you know? We didn't have cell phones. I had to like drive around and hunt them down at different like places or classes and parties. Like, yeah, Facebook. I mean, Facebook keeps us all connected, right? Instagram. These are all beautiful things to be grateful for. I'm so happy. What else? Netflix. I love it. What else do you guys have? What else? Snapchat. HBO. These are all things that didn't even exist when I was your age. Just mine.
To go like theme parks or
Right.
and
Right. I love it. Bowling. See, your lives are awesome, right? And the more you feel like your life is awesome, the more awesome your life gets. The more you appreciate every single thing in your life, it grows. And the same is true in reverse. The more you complain and hate your life, the worse it gets. Because we create it in our mind. We create those moments. We create our whole life in our mind. So start tuning in to what's working, what you like, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Wake up every day like, yeah, it's Wednesday. Let's do this thing. I'm telling you, your whole life will change. And you will never forget me on a Wednesday morning, every one of you. You'll be like 35 years old and you'll be like, remember that crazy girl? And she's like, yeah, it's Wednesday. And so here's my final quote for today, is that you have the power to change the way that you look, think, and feel at any point in time. You can be hating your life every day, and all of a sudden you wake up at 30 and you're like, I'm going to change how I feel about my life, and you can do that. You are not your circumstances. Whatever's going on in your life is not who you are. You are a powerful creator who merely needs to flow your intention and all of your thoughts and your energy into a new reality. And through taking action every day, you can have that new reality. So thank you guys so much for having me here. It's been awesome.